Good morning and welcome to this yearly Life Science Seminar 2024. So we are going to have 5 companies presenting today, all Nordic companies. The setup is a little different from when we do events with one company. So the company and management will present and we will have a short Q&A, approximately 5 minutes. So please, when you ask a question, keep it to 1 per attendant. And just some other practical issues. The whole seminar will be in English. Besides Pharma Equity Group, they asked to do their presentation in Danish. The audience is more than welcome to post their questions in Swedish, Danish or English. And as always, you post your questions just below the video window. We will record this seminar, and when everything is edited, we will post it on our homepage, and I expect the companies to launch it on their homepages as well. What is the topic for today? First of all, we will only present senior management from all the participating companies, and we will focus on the latest development and late-stage pipeline. That's the topic, more or less. And with that said, I hope everybody will have a really nice and inspiring day. And with me today, I have my colleague, Henrik Ekman, our analyst on life science. And we have a couple of slides we would like to present for the audience before we start with the companies. So with that said, my first question to you, Henrik, is the latest development in the life science industry. We have our own index called Little Mermaid Index. And can you shortly present how does the latest development look like?
Yes, if we just take up the graph here to illustrate the development, we can see that although the underlying sentiment in equity markets has been positive, biotech stocks in general has lagged this performance, which is a little bit unusual because usually when markets go up and risk appetite goes up, biotech stocks go up as well. But as we can see, it has not been fully reflected in the development so far this year, except for the Little Mermaid Index, which is Nordic and small cap focused. Here we can see that it's actually starting to perform and catch up with the general development, and that, of course, can have something to do with the constituents in the Nordic market. In particular, there has been some buyouts, and we have some obesity-focused biotechs that has done very well. So that could be one of the reasons. But generally speaking, the development is reflecting movements in interest rates as they go up and down. It affects risk appetite, and this is what we've seen so far. But we have still some catch up to do, as we can see on the graph. If we take the next slide, perhaps.
Yes, of course. And just briefly, for all participants interested in the Little Mermaid Index, we publish it about 1 month, every month, together with our newsletter called BioSnack. And you are more than welcome to sign up, and you can do that at HC Andersen Capital.dk. So with that, I will move on to the next slide. And we have 3 topics for today, Henrik.
And it should not come as a surprise to regular attendances or readers of our BioSnack that we have a pretty constructive and positive fundamental outlook for the biotech stock and biotech industry. And that has to do with some of the points we have highlighted here. There are, as we see on the left-hand side, we have the M&A and funding conditions as one of the key topics. Here, it's important to stress that although we do acknowledge that there are challenges for the industry in terms of how they refund themselves and their ability to raise capital, the underlying long-term fundamentals remain supportive, as we can see that big pharma is making huge inroads in the industry by acquiring some of these biotech stocks. And actually, the first quarter of 2024 was double the amount of M&A deals compared to the first quarter in 23. So big pharma is starting to spend, and they still have a lot of cash to spend because all of their patent expiries has to be compensated by new introduction of drugs, and they're acquiring biotech stocks with interesting products is one of the key ways to do this. And we've also seen that biotech related venture capitalists has raised a lot of capital, so they also have some dry powder to use in this industry. But of course there are challenges, as we've mentioned. The interest rate development is keep hurting sentiment, and when it does, it's difficult for companies to refund themselves. They have to dilute when they do capital raises, making a self-fulfilling prophecy of the share price going down, because everybody is expecting that they have to dilute a lot, and then it sometimes continues from this vicious circle of downward pressure on the share price.
We have seen some kind of a change in behavior, Henrik, due to these very difficult times the last 2 years for the companies to find sufficient equity without diluting the current shareholders.
Yeah. And what they've done is that they have increasingly used different ways of bridge financing, different loans type, convertible loans, all sorts of bridge financing schemes, and that is positive from sort of a short-term liquidity perspective. But what we can also see, and what we've witnessed in some of these bridge financing announcements, is that it's very expensive. They're using interest rates that are very high. So they don't dilute. They do get the liquidity they need, but it's very expensive. But all in all, we still think that this flow of money into the sector from big pharma is a key variable to consider and to keep watching how it develops.
Yeah. So besides the macro factors that influence all kinds of sectors, we have some other factors, as you just mentioned, Henrik. But that's one part of the equation. Another very positive part is medical advancement. Yeah. And can you please update us on that one?
Yeah. What is meant by that is that the underlying advancement in the medical development of products seems to be going according to plans, generally speaking, as we look into the sector. So this is sort of an underlying assumption that we need that needs to be supported, and we still think that is what we see when we look at different companies, and it looks as if they're progressing as they used to do. And what is new this time around, perhaps, and to what will probably affect this progress is the introduction of artificial intelligence in the drug development phases. There's been a lot of debate about this. Some suggest it will revolutionize drug development. We are probably in the camp that it will not necessarily revolutionize. It will aid and help biotech companies in their early drug discovery phases to develop products faster and more effective, and thereby saving costs. But it has to be remembered that the regulatory framework is still based by requirements of human testing of guidelines and protocols from regulatory bodies. So they will not automatically just accept artificial intelligence-based testing. It has to go through the normal testing as it always done. So I don't think it will revolutionize. It will probably just make it faster, more effective, and cheaper. But we do see a lot of interest in this area, and we've had recently we had the introduction of the HCA Therapeutics in US, which raised $1 billion without having any pipelines or anything. Just an idea they just had an idea how to develop some sort of AI to develop drugs. So that is that just reflects how much interest there is in this field, and it's probably something that we increasingly have to watch and see how the individual companies embrace this or what they will do.
You also mentioned in our latest Biosnack, Henrik, that actually we see a lot of applications entering FDA's table. So
yeah,
the bodies, the regulatory bodies,
they acknowledge this, and they so far they have more than 300. Currently, FDA has more than 300 new drug candidates, which has been more or less developed with the usage of AI. So it's not a new thing to FDA to consider, but what they're stressing all the time is that you have to go through the normal human testing phases and live up to the different standards and protocols and guidelines. So it's a very interesting field, but it's not like we will have a new cure for cancer instantly. It's more about developing drugs more effectively, in specific in the very early phases and drug discovery phases. So.
Good, Henrik. So AI is here to stay, but we don't think it's gonna be a revolution, more like an evolution. So to round off, before we start up with the companies, should we briefly touch upon valuation?
Yeah, it's just I think as we're fundamentally based and look at things from a long-term investment perspective, it's always important to look at valuations. Is valuation somehow supportive longer term? And we continue to see supportive valuation metrics. It's a little bit difficult, different from other sectors how we evaluate these companies, but the way we look at it at these company guided DCF models, it seems as if when we look on different companies that the market is still only partly discounting the potential of these different companies. So that suggests that we have a longer term support from valuation perspectives as well. So all in all, we do think that there are good prospects, but we acknowledge the short term challenges we got related to the high interest rates and the difficulties of refunding operations.
And in HCA, we don't work with a target-based valuation, and we don't work with a sell, hold, or buy recommendation, but we work with a probability of success. Could you very briefly touch upon that, Henrik?
Yeah, what we do is we take these company-guided DCF models and look at, okay, so what is the potential of this company according to management and their estimates? When we discount that back, we get a sense of how much is discounted. In other words, what is the probability, what is according to the market implicitly the probability of the company to get either approval or commercial success. So it's another way of looking at these companies, but we think it's a very good approach because as an investor you're able to see whether you believe in the company management or not, and their estimates and their prospects for the future, and if that is not discounted, you can make your own assumptions as to whether this should be a company to invest in.
Thanks a lot, Henrik. And then in a short while, we will present the first company, but I just want to show our agenda for today. So the first company today will be HCA Pharma, presented by the CEO, Magnus Corfitzen. After a short break, then we will have Gubra live with the CEO, Henrik Bloch, and CFO, Christian Borbers. After another small break again, we will present BioPorto and the CEO, Peter Mørk Eriksen. And then finally, at 11:30, we will present Pharma Equity Group with the CEO, Thomas Kelsø, and he will present in Danish, but as I mentioned in the beginning, you're more than welcome to post your questions in either Swedish or English, and we will try to answer them as good as possible. Last but not least, we have an interesting company called Expression Biotechnologies, and the CEO, Ben Fransen, and also CFO, Keith Alexander, will be present with the last presentation. So by that said, I hope everyone will have a really good event and with a lot of thoughts afterwards about what to look for. And we will have a short break before we present the first company. Thanks a lot.